Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. It is Wednesday. It is dreary, but there is hockey to discuss. Thanks for being here with us. We always appreciate it. Make sure you smash that like button for us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Same deal on your favorite podcast app. Follow, subscribe, whatever, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Did I already say our names? I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Stephen Nicholas is here running the show as he usually does. Not always, but usually. When it goes well, it's Stephen. When it goes poorly, it's somebody else. Except Sarah. I said except Sarah.
Take that, everybody else.
All right. Good start. Way to go. Now I pissed off everybody.
You forgot Sarah's right there. She can hear you.
Sorry. I'm sorry. So we went to practice today because that's our job and got the chance to talk to Luke Richardson. We're going to play that for you in a little bit. And we've got a little bit of around the league news we're going to get to at the end of the show. Little bit of a programming note. We found out today that for the remainder of the season, on Wednesdays, we will be joined by one of our friends from the What Chaos podcast. DJ Bean and or Pete Blackburn will be joining us every Wednesday, non-game day for the rest of the year, which will be a lot of fun. Not today. That starts next week. So plan on that. There's only 3 Wednesday games the rest of the regular season. So playoffs, we don't know yet. But yeah, plan on that. It's going to be a good time. And if you've not checked out the What Chaos podcast yet, our new All-City Network national NHL show, I encourage you to do so when our show is over.
Yeah. Yes, they are live on the YouTubes, I believe at 11 o'clock Chicago time.
Yep.
Monday through Thursday. They had their interview with Connor Bedard and Kevin Kaczynski yesterday. I know they've got one coming up with Wyatt Kaiser and Alex Vlasic. So, yeah, it's a great podcast. I like their formula. It's right up my alley because they give you all the news you need to know, but they are totally not serious about any of it.
Right.
Like, it's really good. It's worth the listen. Go hit the subscribe button, all that. All the same stuff you do for us. Spread it on over to What Chaos.
Yeah. When we're done.
Yes.
Of course.
Or before you get here. One of the two. But not between 2:30 and 3:30.
So we're in this weird kind of week here where last week the Hawks had, 4 days off between games. Then they played 2 in a row. Then there's another 4 days off in between games. So practice today was a little bit poorly attended by the media. We were the only 3 to ask questions in the scrum.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're just going to kind of spread the wings a little bit today and see where the show takes us. But why don't we hear from Luke Richardson to get us started? You'll see a recurring theme in this interview, and I think that's where we'll start the show. But we might as well hear from Luke first.
Luke, wanted to ask you, yesterday you talked about this team needing a little bit more killer instinct, mostly with some of the young players. Do you feel like that's something that can be taught to a player, or it's more of their making?
Yeah, no, I think it's up to them, obviously, to find that. But we show examples in the game. I think in the second period, Nick Foligno going on a forecheck when a D stops behind the net, steals the puck, gives it to Connor. Great shot. I think it just hit the goalie in the shoulder. Things like that. Like, let's be aggressive, proactive. 2-on-1. We showed one with Reichel, just trying to promote him to shoot the puck more, and we stopped it where his feet stopped moving. And I said, well, everybody in the rink, and especially the D and the goalie, know that you're looking to pass. So talking to him and working with him today, even in practice, to keep his feet moving, and you're thinking shoot first on 2-on-1s, 2-on-2s, or line rushes, and preferably see the D. If the D reacts to you and he starts to open up, well, then there might be a time to pass. But if you're going to stop your feet and you're waiting for the D to and wait him out, it usually gets closed off. So just giving them little tips and showing them in their game, and maybe even getting a player like, even a guy like we're going to play this week twice, Kucherov, like one of the best players in the league, showing him opening up on a 2-on-1 because he wants that puck and he's going to shoot that puck and sling it in the net like he did last night again a couple times. And if they overreact to him, well, he just catches that puck and makes a play behind the guy. So just giving them maybe people to kind of watch and emulate a little bit, and then it is up to them to kind of do it.
With young players, can it be almost like a shyness on the ice with the inexperience, or not wanting to come off as selfish? How do you?
I think sometimes, you get it's Taylor Hall, I want to give him the puck, or it's Corey Perry, I want to give him the puck, and it's not the right time. You know what I mean? They will call for it and slap their stick or demand it when it's time. I think you need to play hockey and play, it's a fast game in the NHL and things close off quick. I think you got to have the determination when you have a little bit of space, make something of it. We showed Reichel turning in the offensive zone. He did a great job intercepting a puck and he turned it around, but he let his momentum take him wide, and then all he has is an option to shoot it, and then it's not a very good angle to make a pass or a shot from the board. So we showed him if he could cut that like a check mark, like if you're doing stops and starts, it'd be like cheating in a stop and start. So it's like a V instead of a big U, and it keeps you inside the dots, and he would have shot the puck the exact same place that Tyler Johnson shot it the shift before in our first goal. So we showed Tyler's goal or Taylor's goal in the back door from Tyler's shot, and we showed almost the same scenario where Reichel let his momentum take him outside the dots just because he did, and then you don't have the opportunity in the angle. So just little pointers like that, goes along with your question that, is it up? We can show them some instances, and now they have to correct themselves on the ice.
When you first got here, on your first press conference, you mentioned watching Tampa in the Cup final, and that's a team you want to emulate. Now you get them 2 out of the next 3 games. Is there going to be like a lot of, you're going to see plays where kind of be teaching moments, not only a measuring stick for where you guys are at, but things you can now see, this is why I preach that every day.
Yeah, no, they're a team that they're winners, and they got the killer instinct at the right times, and that's something that we have to learn, that you can't take the foot off the pedal if we have a goal lead on them or a 2-goal lead on or a 4-goal lead on them. Like, that's the type of team that can and they sometimes can play loose too. So, but they have the ability to kind of turn that back on. I don't think we're there yet. So we have to make sure we're on from the start of the game to the finish of the game against them, and play aggressive against them. You got to respect them going into the game. But once you're playing against them, you don't give them respect by giving them room, time and space and room, because they're very dangerous that way. So there'll be obviously some teaching points, like you said, and learning points, but we want to grow and within that game maybe have some great moments that are kind of teaching moments, but they're keepers on our computers because we executed.
That is Luke Richardson just hours ago at Fifth Third Arena. So that killer instinct topic that Mario and I sort of started the whole thing with is interesting, because I was actually listening to 32 Thoughts, as I do every time it's published, and they were talking about how when the Maple Leafs had their players only meeting, the GM and coach basically told them that every team that comes in here knows they can push you around with no response. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's what's happening with the Blackhawks.
No.
I think what we're having here is you've got a lot of young guys who are probably thinking a little too much, who are deferring to veterans a little too much, and who are just kind of maybe not wanting to rock the boat. Reichel, to me, is the guy that this is probably affecting the most. We've seen Bedard a couple times opt to pass when we probably should have shot, and that will come. But I think it's super encouraging that, in my mind, Luke doesn't see it as an unfixable problem, because I think if he felt like Lukas Reichel was beyond help in terms of that, he wouldn't talk about things so specifically. Mm. Does that make sense? Like, the fact that he says, we showed Lukas this and told him to do this, means that he thinks it can be repaired.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when it comes to this team trying to create more offense, create more scoring chances, translating that into creating more goals, it's not just shooting the puck. There's more to it. We would like for players to shoot more, because usually when you put the puck on net, something can happen. Goalie makes a save and there's a rebound, or you get a tip, you get a deflection, or you beat the goalie and it goes in. So there's more to just saying we need to put more. The team needs to put more pucks on net. It's how they're doing it, when they're doing it, and the frequency of that. And I think when through practice, Richardson spoke a little bit about it yesterday, more specifically on a guy like Philip Kurashev, trying to be a little bit more of that, have a little bit more of that instinct to generate more offensively, and how pairing him with a guy like Nick Foligno can maybe help that, because Foligno is a player who will go in and go to the front of the net, go into the corner to dig pucks out and be able to get it to the playmakers, get it to guys like Bedard and Kurashev, and wanting those guys to attack more. And I think the idea of trying to be good teammates is something that it's good. It's good to have. You want to be able to rely on the guys that you're playing with, and vice versa throughout the throughout the lineup, to know that, hey, if I'm open, you can get me the puck. But I think it's if that player's open. I think there's been a lot of trying to force plays that these young players are trying to do, and not just the young players, but I think there's been a lot of forcing plays, trying to force passes, overpass the puck to make things pretty. I'm working on this for all CHGO.com, a little bit more in depth on the killer instinct mentality that this team needs to develop a little bit more. Talked with Corey Perry briefly today, and he talked about the fact that you can give players the instruction, you can give them the drills in practice and everything, but ultimately it comes down to the player wanting to do it, and knowing that the NHL is a tough league to score goals in, and it's not going to be pretty every night. And he said something to the effect of, trying to set up the pretty goals is not going to work if you're trying to force it. They'll come if they're going to be there, but you kind of have to work hard, and most of the goals in the league, when you look at it, come from within 10 feet of the net. So you have to be willing to go there, and if you want to score goals, go to those areas, and those players have to have the willingness to do it. And he said he believes in the young group that they can do it. It's just kind of up to them if they want to do it. So I think that's an interesting ripple to it, because we know Reichel can score, we know Kurashev can score goals. We've seen it for both of them in the AHL. We know Connor Bedard has a great shot, but I think it's more than just getting pretty snipes from between the circles. It's going to have to come from driving to the net and making things happen that way.
Yeah, and you've got guys who set great examples. Corey Perry, always in front of the net. Mm-hmm. And that was a guy that evolved into that. He wasn't that type of player his whole career. Younger in his career, he loved shooting from all spots of the ice, and he's now realized that you gotta play that style of game. Nick Foligno's always crashing that. Look how they scored their first goal against the Devils. It was Taylor Hall right at the doorstep, boom, rebound, open net. And we had said it in the press box during that first period. Vanasek was a rebound machine for the first 8-9 minutes of that game, and Taylor Hall was the only one to be in the right position. Like the younger guys, the Lukas Reichels, the Bedards to a degree, and some of these other players, they gotta recognize that in a game and be like, there's rebounds. We just got to get there. Go for the rebound. They're going to be there. There wasn't enough of that against the Devils. You scored that first goal, and then we saw 7 or 8 juicy rebounds kicked right back to the middle that were just cleared away. There was no second chance shot. So I think it's obviously very correctable. But as you said with Corey, the players have to take it upon themselves to want to do it. We've seen a lot of players through the years that just didn't want to do it. I mean, I'll never forget seeing all the hype on Dylan Secura that we heard his last year in college, and then going to see him 2-3 games in a row in Rockford while covering the Ice Hogs. It was like, this dude won't go inside the dots. He's never going to make it in the NHL. So it'll come. I mean, we've seen Lukas Reichel play physical and take a hit to make a play. And so, yeah, I just think you got to get that first taste of success doing the hard work. And then you realize, okay, this is how we got to do it.
I got a comment from Jimmy the Lumberjack and says, no offense to Corey, up there a little bit. There you go. But his driving to the net days like Cam Neely are done. He will stand in front of the net now. That's where Corey Perry has been effective, has been in front of the net this year.
Yeah.
And I'm looking here at this new, the edge.nhl.com, where it shows you like heat maps and all those things and shot locations. I'm looking at the Vegas Golden Knights at their shot chart. They're, I think we all agree, the best team in hockey. Yes, can we? Oh, you say that?
Sure.
That's true.
One of them.
They have 380 shots on goal. 84 of them have come right in front of the net.
Yeah.
That's where good teams make their hay. That's where they do their job. That's where they get things done. Meanwhile, the Blackhawks, who of course don't have as many shots on goal as the Golden Knights, that's obvious because they're not as good of a team. 66 of their shots have been in front. Still the most, but when you look at like the point area and like right at right in front of the point, 24 shots from the left point, 19 from the right point. That's too many. 37 from the right and center, like slots. It's just that's too many outside perimeter shots.
Yeah.
They've got to get and work inside more. That's where the good teams have their success. The great amount, and look, don't tell me that Vegas doesn't have skill. Of course they do. But like you said, Mario, when you watch how teams score goals and you watch like, the nightly highlights, on NHL Tonight or whatever show you want to watch that shows the highlights, the vast majority of goals are scored right in front. Yeah. Even if they come from the point, they're redirected or or the rebound is scored. It's very, very rare that you're going to have a distant shot scored without any sort of tip or interference on the way in.
The Blackhawks this season are dead last in high danger chances.
Yeah. Well, you could take shots from above the circles or in the high slot if you have a guy's ass in the goalie's face.
Right.
Or sticks on the ice getting in the way. You don't see that a lot. Not enough. So it is a goalie can see it coming from 45 feet. It's going to get saved every time. So, yeah, they definitely need to get inside the dots more and take a few more bruises for those goals. But,
I just wonder. So if the focus is on the young players being able to do this, my thought is who's going to do it. I like Lukas Reichel as a player. I don't see him becoming a bulldog on the ice.
No.
Connor Bedard has many different ways he can shoot the puck to score. I don't see him playing around the net. I don't see Philip Kurashev really being around the net guy. I look down the line, Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore, these top forwards that they have, they're very fast, very skilled guys. They're not the biggest. I don't see them going around the net. So I think my wonder is, and as Luke and as Corey have talked about, you can give those guys all the video work and all the instruction on the ice, work on it in practice, tell them this is what you have to do to have success. I just wonder who are going to be the guys that are actually going to do it, put it into practice, and be able to get it done. I see Bijan saying Colton Dock and Marcel.
Not ready.
They're yeah. Well, so Moore and Nazars are not those guys yet. They have to even become pros. But I just think who are going to be the guys that at the NHL level can do that successfully, and I don't know if there's a guy in the system right now that they have that will be able to do that.
I agree with you, but I think in the way we've been watching the Hawks practice over the last week plus, where clearly the emphasis has been battling and getting in front and fighting through traffic and all those sort of things, is Lukas Reichel doesn't have to become Cam Neely. No one's asking him to do that, but they're asking him to, when he's got the puck, instead of driving out wide, that's what Luke said when we was talking to us, like, he goes out wide and then all he can do is shoot. He takes every other option away, and the shot is harmless and not high danger. And
angle.
you know what I mean? Like, go to the net, buzz the net. If there are guys in front, or let's say he's playing left wing and the center's got the puck, come buzzing in the front, and maybe a rebound's going to pop out, and use that skill and use that speed to create chaos. I don't think anyone's asking him to become a different player. And I hate to just focus on Reichel, because it's not just Reichel, but he's kind of the most obvious example right now. Like, just be willing to skate around that area instead of avoid. Like, say what you want to say about Athanasiou, but we've seen him a few times drive the puck to the net. Sometimes he forgets to shoot or he falls down.
Sometimes.
Often.
Yeah.
But at least the willingness to do so is there.
Yeah, he uses that speed to get to the front of the net, and maybe Nazar and Moore will have that translate as they continue to develop and mature. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as though if you're not buzzing in on a 2-on-1 or on a rush chance, who are the guys that when you have sustained offensive zone time, who are the guys that are going to, for the long term, go around the net and be those types of players? Do they have to go out and acquire somebody? Do they have to look at, trades or free agency down the line? If these players that they have now in the system are going to be here long term, who's going to be the one to fill that role?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got. I don't think like Luke is saying that he wants like Lukas Reichel and Connor Bedard, these guys, to become power forwards, but when the situation calls for it, do it. Like, don't completely change your game. Connor Bedard is in the NHL because of what he can do, and the same with Lukas Reichel. But if there are situations where it causes, where it is beneficial to crash the net, just be aware of those situations, when to do it. Not every time down the ice, but talking about what's in the system, I mean, it still might be early to tell. I mean, you've got Samuel Savoy. He's Savoie. He's that type of guy that will definitely play in between the dots.
Colton Dock is
Colton
to
Dock
me.
is
That's
the
the guy
guy-
who's the most ready
yeah,
to try it right now. Maybe not right now, but you know what I mean.
I see a guy like Paul Lewinsky could possibly be that type of player. Like, there are guys that we see in college, and how many times we've seen it, where they're playing in junior or college, wherever, and they're like the major offensive skill guy, but then they have to adapt. They have to change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting that hand of
You got
workout today. Like
as usual.
Like look easy. But like a guy like Dave Bolin was like a goal-scoring machine in London, and then he got to the NHL. I was like, well, I got to change it a little bit.
Yeah.
So there may be guys that are in the system that we look at now as pure skill guy that may eventually be like, well, I got to change the way I play.
Yeah.
Because when you're at the University of Minnesota or the Sarnia Sting or wherever you are, they don't necessarily play that style of hockey and don't really need that.
Dave Bowen had 130 points in 59 games
That's
in his last
insane.
year in London.
Impressive.
He was a totally different player.
Yeah.
So some of those guys may evolve into that type of player that we just haven't seen it yet.
And conversely, too, like some of those guys that are
like a Ryan Green could be.
Yeah,
that type of
but
guy.
like even like a guy like Ryder Ralston, who, because the college game is different too. Like that's a little more mucky and grindy than the Western League or of course the NHL. So maybe a guy like Ryder Ralston with a little more room to use his skating ability and the willingness to get in front of the net could be an option there too. I think Landon Slaggert in a year or two could be another guy they look at to be a net front kind of a guy. I think as we look towards when the Hawks deem it time to contend again, the biggest priority for them is going to be finding a legit physical, it's not going to be Matthew Tkachuk or Brady Tkachuk, but that type of a guy.
with that attitude,
I mean, I'd take them both.
Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, but someone who plays that game, because you mentioned Moore and Nazar and Bedard, we're all very high on all three of them, but you throw Reichel in there too, and now you're looking at 4 of your top 6 forwards are smallish. They're not physical, which is okay, but you're going to have to supplement with guys that can complement them, and I think, that's why I really hope that they got something in Colton Dock, because he looked so good in this preseason.
Yeah.
I thought he looked good last preseason before he got hurt. Had a good year in Seattle. I hope that he can be a guy. And look, he's not going to be a 50-goal kind of a guy. But if you can go in there and just provide that role and pop in 40 points, 45 points, that's going to be a huge, huge advantage for these young, skilled forwards that come. Because make no mistake, like they're both Docs, but Colton does not play like Kirby.
No.
Colton is a much grittier, more power forward type than Kirby was.
Yeah, I think Colton has more of that mentality that Richardson is talking about of the desire to, want to be the one to go in between the dots, to be able to, instead of looping around on a play, being able to cut to the net and make something happen. I think Colton's way more of a willing participant to do that than I think Kirby was in his time here.
Yeah, my biggest concern with Colton was the same concern with Kirby. I just hope they could stay on the ice long enough to actually hit that potential.
All right, before we get to our first ad break, look forward to that. That's a tease, everybody. We want to send congrats to our buddy Young Dangle God, who is on his way to Tampa for his bachelor party. So congratulations on your marriage.
It's going to be in attendance for the Lightning game.
Yeah.
Hawks Lightning. That'll be fun.
Don't do anything this weekend to jeopardize your wedding.
You owe us $1.
Yeah, maybe Patrick Kane will be there. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we won't tell your fiance why you had to downsize your wedding because of all the super chats you sent us.
Look, baby,
Congratulations.
it wasn't cubic zirconia to start, but I have this running bit, you see,
Yeah.
and
It's Jay, Greg, and Mario's fault that we're
Yeah, once the
can only
super,
invite 50 guests to our wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
once the super chat is made, there's no takesies backsies.
well, we appreciate it. And if you want to get yoked, for the wedding night, Mario's going to tell you where to go and do that.
Yeah, you can go to the Midtown Athletic Club in one of their 4 Chicagoland locations in Palatine, Bannockburn, Willowbrook, or you have the Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. And that Palatine location, they launched a multi-million-dollar transformation recently of the club, and that'll be completed in early 2024. So you lovely CHGO watchers and listeners, you can lock in favorable rates if you decide to join the club before the end of the year. Midtown Athletic Club is an ultra premium brand that has a ton of features at your disposal. They have super luxury locker rooms with wet and dry saunas, other premium amenities like outdoor and indoor pools and hot tubs, a collection of different fitness boutique studios with over 100 classes per week included in your membership. They got yoga, boxing, high-intensity interval training, spinning and cycling classes, CrossFit, group exercise, and, of course, the best tennis courts and programming in the area. Midtown has indoor-outdoor tennis, pickleball, paddleball tennis, and USTA professional quality all the way. So head over to midtown.com/CHGO to tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you and get your fitness journey started today.
And if you prefer fatness to fitness like I do, hit up our buddy, Charlie the Bacon Guy.
far less
Hey,
work.
bacon's high in proteins.
There you go.
Part of
Low-
your fitness plan.
There are no carbs in bacon. Can
Yeah,
confirm.
there you go.
He is our buddy based out of Woodridge, Illinois, and the chat. He's easy to find. And he makes craft bacon and bacon jams in over 30 different flavors. Our friend Region Rev got their order
At a
today.
bacon haul.
Stocking up on the Charlie the Bacon Guy bacon.
Looks good.
It is awesome. Every bag is vacuum sealed and freezes up great. I know Mario's placing an order or has placed an order.
Oh, a big order
We don't
is
want to
coming.
spoil it, but a
Yeah.
big order coming to the Tirabassi family. Yeah. And man, if you're looking for something different to do for the holidays, absolutely order some bacon. Like I said, it freezes up beautifully. Charlie says 45 days. It freezes up much longer than that. I found some Charlie bacon from like a year and a half ago in the freezer. Like, yep, that's still good. And it was. So don't worry about that.
You rolled the dice.
Waiting 45 days.
Well, I
to eat
lost
Charlie's
it. I got
bacon.
the chest freezer. And then the daughter goes in looking for ice cream sandwiches, and then the bacon slides down. The daughter.
tough.
That's it.
Right. Name the daughter.
The bacon jam freezes as well, but it's not going to last that long. You're going to get that, open it, and eat it with your fingers and call it a day. Here are some of the bacon flavors available now. Maple pepper, jalapeno garlic. That is one of my favorites. Old Bay, rosemary, and Malort. And Charlie says, don't knock it until you try it. Nope, I'll knock it, and I will not try it. Bacon jam flavors are the original, bourbon, and spicy. And if you've got an idea in mind or of a former flavor that Charlie had. Like one of my favorites is the ranch bacon, the French toast bacon, all really good. Order enough and Charlie will whip up a custom batch for you. So get in touch with him. Here's how. CharlieTheBaconGuy@gmail.com, at CharlieTheBaconGuy on Instagram, and at CZTheBaconGuy on Twitter. Get yourself some bacon like Region Rev did and have a killer week. It is all so good. And really, we did it for Christmas, I think 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, and people were just blown away by it. Such a great idea. Go buy some little mini coolers, make it a whole package, you win. Best Christmas ever.
Best Christmas ever.
Yeah. All right, should we get to some of the Around the League stuff? Because there is a lot to get to.
Sure.
Well, everybody, it finally happened. Your San Jose Sharks got a win over the Philadelphia Flyers. They won 2-1 despite being outshot 39-19.
Yeah, of course.
Mackenzie Blackwood, 38 saves in the win, and they shared a video on their Twitter, the Sharks did. It was very nice, of Tomas Hertl just hugging the hell out of Blackwood. It was an uncomfortably long embrace, but you could just see the relief in all the Sharks' faces that they finally got on the board. So congrats to the Sharks. Like, we all went through it last year with the rebuild. It is very difficult, but damn, to go 0-10-1 to start your year is rough.
I mean, what was it? The last ride of Colleton was 1-9-2 to start that season. That was
we need a jar for him too. I'm sorry.
It was rough. So yes, I as much as it was like fascinating to see how long it would go, especially after giving up 10 goals in back-to-back games, it was nice to see the Sharks to get a win at home. Like that's you need that in a season that is so clearly going to be a tank down to the bottom of the league and to stay there at the bottom of the league. Getting the clip of Kevin from The Office saying it's just nice to win one, that I'm sure that's how San Jose feels today.
I couldn't stop thinking about the poor kid that became a meme after I forget which 10-goal performance it was.
The first one, yeah.
My first Sharks game.
And
they got the score bug.
8-0 second intermission.
Oh, man.
Tough
Well,
break.
Yeah. But, of course, then the Sharks took away our fun.
Yeah.
Now, everybody was hoping because their next game is tomorrow night against the Edmonton Oilers, who are an absolute dumpster fire right now.
Hey, don't say that about dumpster fires.
It still could be hilarious if they beat them.
Still could, but everybody was kind of hoping, wouldn't it be great if the Sharks' first win of the season came against the Edmonton Oilers? That would get everybody fired. But here's something that's actually even, I think, more fun than the Oilers being the first team to lose to the historically bad Sharks. Mm-hmm. If the Oilers do lose to them in regulation, they would have as many points as the San Jose Sharks. And the Sharks would jump ahead of them in the overall league standings because they beat them head-to-head. They would both have 5 points.
And that would put them at last in the
would
NHL?
Put them at they would be tied for 31st at 5 points. The Edmonton Oilers have just 2 more points than the San Jose Sharks do right now. And the Sharks won their first game last
31st in the NHL, Edmonton Oilers.
So, like,
wow.
What would be worse, giving them their first win or dropping below them in the standings when you were picked by a lot of people, including 2 on this very panel, to win the damn Stanley Cup?
A team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl being last in the NHL
after the first week.
after beyond the first 2-3 games of the season, that is that's insane. And it just speaks to how much difference one player on a team can make, and that's your goaltender.
Yeah, and Region Rev is saying in the chat that there's some reports or rumors that they're interested in Jordan Binnington.
Yes, that is Reed Wilkins of Ched, our favorite Edmonton news outlet.
I like the Oilers, so I don't want them to get that.
Oilers getting Binnington.
That piss baby on their team, but he is an upgrade.
He would be, yeah.
As a guy that has Stuart Skinner in his fantasy league, and the pickings are very slim to try and replace a goaltender right now. Mm-hmm. I hope they stick with him and let him try and figure this out because he is much better than the 860 whatever he is right now.
Yeah.
He was an all-star last year. I mean, that was basically the fan vote, but still, like, he's better than what he's been. They need defensemen.
Yeah.
Because no goaltender is going to make much of a difference if you're giving up 40 shots a night, and 25 of those are high danger with basically the shooter and nobody in front of him, from close range. Elliot Friedman put it perfectly on this week's 32 Thoughts. The two biggest problems with the Edmonton Oilers are teams can go exactly where they want to on the ice, and they're not getting saves. That's a bad combination, a really bad combination.
Yeah, the second worst all-strength PDO in the league, Edmonton, with a .938, and that calculates shooting percentage and save percentage. They have the worst
save percentage.
Save percentage
by a lot.
Yeah, .861. And
it was
Carolina Hurricanes are second worst at .868.
But they're winning somehow, kind of.
You got goal scoring.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But
Edmonton's in trouble.
Edmonton had the worst save percentage in the league at .867 heading in that Vancouver game, and it went down.
Yeah,
it's like
what's gotten worse?
Like, I don't know what the solution is there.
I liked your idea today at practice you talked about.
Well, there was a report coming out saying that it was Darren Dreger, I believe, or Pierre LeBrun, one of those TSN chaps.
An insider trading?
Said that they're willing to give up their first round pick this coming up draft to help them. Like they know it's win now mode. They probably got to figure we probably only have one more season after this with both McDavid and Draisaitl.
Absolutely.
If I'm Leon Draisaitl, I cannot wait to get the F out of there now. And if I'm McDavid, I'm demanding a trade right after that too. Like it's not working. And so they said give up, a first round pick. So, hey, you need defense, you need a goalie. An average defenseman and an average NHL goalie would be a massive upgrade on them. That's all they need right now is an average NHL goalie and a stay-at-home defenseman. So take their first-round pick, retain half the salary of Mrazek and Connor Murphy, have them throw in, they'll probably have to throw in another contract, an NHL player off their roster to kind of clear. They don't have a lot of cap space.
Right, yeah.
So we'd have to take something back.
That's a lot of money.
But you retain half on Mrazek and Murphy.
That's still like what?
So
$5 million.
$5 million, and you find someone on their roster that you can take off their.
See, the problem with that though is, and this goes for any trade like that for them, they're so top heavy. McDavid makes 12.5, Draisaitl makes 8.5, Hyman makes 5.5, Kane and Nugent Hopkins both make 5.125, but then it's Warren Fogle and Ryan McLeod and Matthias Janmark and Dylan Holloway. These guys are like making $3 million or less, and
I'll take Dylan Holloway.
I mean, sure, of course, but like that doesn't help them with the money. So and the guys that would help with the money are going to hurt the team too much to get rid of. So that's the dilemma they're in. If they need to move salary to bring in salary to solve their problems, they're going to have to move out a quality player.
Yeah, they're going to have to clear a lot on them. They have $21,000 in cap space right now.
I mean, you would say like maybe the Hawks would take Jack Campbell if he didn't have 3 years left. No, right?
No.
I'd rather put a case of Campbell's soup and goal before Jack Campbell. You'd probably have a higher save percentage.
It's better 5-hole.
Yeah.
Less carbs.
Yeah, I mean
they're screwed. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, unless you're willing to get rid of. Jesus, did they just sign Nugent Hopkins?
Jesus makes a lot of money.
Did they just sign Nugent Hopkins to an extension? They had to have because it's off the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're giving up him or Evander Kane or Zach Hyman.
I don't want anything.
And that hurts them.
Yeah.
And that doesn't. Unless you're saying we're going to sacrifice one of the players up front to bring in, players, defense and goalie to, subtract from your surplus to make your back end better.
Do you sacrifice Ryan Nugent Hopkins to get a good goalie and a good defenseman? I mean, at this point,
I can't imagine it would be him though if you just signed him to a freaking deal that goes to 2029.
And who wants Evander Kane? Nobody wants that. No one it's worked out for him in Edmonton,
right? But yes and no. I mean, he's still getting himself in trouble, and
Zach Hyman is a guy that they want to keep.
Yeah, no, Zach Hyman's
So I have
really,
no idea.
Zach
I
Hyman
have
was
no
one of
idea
those-
who you want to get rid of.
One of those guys you were like, I can't believe they're paying him that much money. All he did was ride the coattails of Matthews and Marner, and
The answer for them,
been real good.
and no one's going to want to hear it, is you trade Draisaitl. And you load the F up. You're going to lose him anyway.
if they know he's
You're
not
gonna
coming
lose him
back-
You're
anyway.
likely to lose him. Yeah.
And I know it's a year early, but with a year early, some team's going to give you a lot more than you're going to get for him next year at the deadline or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's anything they can do. That's why your idea today at practice of Alex Stalock
yeah,
is like, why not?
that's the other thing I said was, why aren't they calling Anaheim and saying,
Yeah,
why don't we get Alex Stalock, who's playing in the AHL right now, correct?
I believe so.
Because they got Lucas Donstall, who's the starter now. It's been real good.
In Anaheim, yeah.
And John Gibson. So Stalock is kind of the odd man out until they trade John Gibson. The Oilers aren't going to trade for John Gibson. He's been freaking lousy too. I mean, that's so
And Carolina just signed Yaroslav Halak,
right.
who would have been, you talk about bringing in an average goalie.
He would have been good there, cheap.
They're in deep shit.
I called for.
They need to figure this out. This roster that the Oilers have are just going to have to figure out what,
Here's
because
another
there's
team
no
I-
answer for
Here's
them.
another team I call if I'm Ken Holland. I call the Minnesota Wild
It's a good idea.
because
Well,
they
they're
got
all-
Marc-Andre Fleury and
Yeah.
Philip Gustafson. Fleury's not coming back after next year. I
But
doubt it.
Minnesota can't eat any money.
but
No.
they got Jasper Wallstedt, who is their top prospect, first round pick.
Yeah.
Off to a tremendous start in the AHL. So, eventually he's going to need to get to the NHL. Call and see what's going to take from Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
'Cause if you have
does Fleury
Fleury-
does Fleury have trade protection?
He's I think he's $3.5 million.
But does he have trade protection?
I don't know.
Because
You'll
that
still
was
have Skinner there.
part of it when he was here.
We didn't have the trade protection.
Fleury does
He was
not.
given a gentleman's.
Oh yeah,
agreement.
wait, 35 plus no movement clause, which is doesn't everyone over 35 get that? Right? Like,
Yeah,
can't
let me
they? He doesn't strike. I mean, look, if
No,
he came,
he's on a 35 plus contract, which means he can't be buried in the AHL.
okay.
But he has a no move clause, which the details of that on cap friendly state. It's not listed. Fleury signs. There's no details on it, but it's a no move clause.
I
So
mean,
that's
he did agree to come to the Blackhawks in the height of a off ice scandal and a rebuild. Well, I guess I didn't know it was going to be a rebuild at the time, but I don't know. But then what do they do in the playoffs?
yeah.
No.
That's when Skinner.
And again, you got to
figures it
fit
out by
that
then.
contract. Where are you going to fit three? It's a little more
I call Anaheim.
palatable. It's $3.5 million for just this year.
I call Anaheim and see what it take to get Alex Stalock. He's not going to cost you a lot, and he's at least the guy you can put out there and know you're going to get a save when you need it.
He's got a 9, 10, and 4 AHL games this year, save percentage, which is, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, if he
played
did
well.
if he did that in Edmonton, they'd be like they'd have
Yeah,
12
and he
more points. Right
and he
now.
played well when he was healthy here last season.
And he's not a guy that's going to like change their season. But if you put him in there with Skinner and Skinner gets it back on track, at least you have a stabilizing force for Skinner to kind of maybe take a couple days to work on some things instead of having to go right back out and start again because the other guy is a complete sieve too.
Yeah, and you've got a nice tandem. And I also think there's some value in a guy like Stalock too, to like chill them the F out. Like, guys,
Yeah.
it's not that serious. Like, let's.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with the Leafs. Like, why aren't you just destroying everyone every night? You've got so much effing talent. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They seem fragile.
I feel like Edmonton's hope right now is that Campbell, goes through waivers, goes to the AHL, figures out whatever he's got to figure out, and then can come back and things will be better. But they're on
Can't afford to
a
wait for that.
short timeline. Yeah, exactly.
Well, when we look at Edmonton and we look at Toronto, that goes back to my whole thing from in the offseason. Are you building a team or are you filling out a roster?
Right.
And those are two rosters.
Yeah.
They're not teams.
And Region Ref says, what about Boston and Omar? But again, that comes down to salary. Like, the Oilers have so much cap work to do before they can bring anybody in.
There was talk in the summer of possibly it's not going to happen now, of a possibly an Allmark for Nugent Hopkins swap, because at that point Boston needed centers.
Mm-hmm.
But now all of a sudden some of these young kids have picked it up, and James Van Riemsdyk has been really good for them. And they got some of these kids that have so that's not going to happen now, but
you could do, if you like what Mario said, you want to trade some of your upfront for some help. I know he just signed a long deal, like you said, but Nugent Hopkins for Allmark, that helps both those teams.
Yeah,
and it's Allmark makes $5 million, and Nugent Hopkins is like $5.5.
Shade over 5.
Yeah, so you could figure it out.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it's just I would think for Boston though, they're probably pretty comfortable having Swayman and Allmark in there, just like they did last year.
But you need $8.5 million in goal when Swayman's been as good as he's been. That's a luxury that a cup contender would probably rather spend elsewhere. Of course, you can.
Maybe.
We learned in the playoffs, like look at Vegas, you can never have too many.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Ryan Nugent Hopkins helps the Bruins a lot too.
He does.
Yeah, I mean, if you turn it over, so basically the Allmark and the Hopkins salaries kind of wash each other out.
Yeah.
So then you bring up your AHL guy or a minimum contract. So now you're the Bruins, and you have some space to then maybe help you out in other options if you want to pick up another defenseman for the run or something like that. I don't think the Kevin Shattenkirk thing has been great so far. But, yeah, I mean, there's lots of different options. But the other issue with all this is nobody's really looking to trade right now. I mean, there are teams that want to do things, but are like, it's way too early for us to be giving up on players or making a major change to the roster.
I agree with you, but conversely, there are several teams that are panicked as hell right now.
Yeah.
And there's probably teams that are looking around like, let's take advantage of this panic here and get something done. All right, we're a little behind on reads, so Greg's going to tell you about Ray. And then we're going to get back to a couple other things around the league, including a trade or two that did go down today.
Yeah, it's November, and that means it's Black Friday savings time at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. And all month long, you can save big at Ray Chevy during their Black Friday sales event, where you can choose from over 100 Silverados in stock, the perfect tailgate vehicle. Black Friday, no longer just a day. It's a whole month now. But that's not all. Get 0% financing with $0 down and 0 payments until 2024. That's all the zeros in the right places. And I know everyone loves the word free, and that's what you'll get this month at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. A free oil change. All you have to do is mention CHGO when scheduling your oil change. That's it. It's a Black Friday offer you don't want to miss, but you have to schedule it before November 30th. Buy with confidence with the Ray Price Promise. It's a guarantee that the price you'll see online is the price you pay when you go into the dealership. In many cases, other dealers will raise the price on you when you come into the dealership, saying things like, are you a recent college graduate? Are you active in the military? Are you a farmer? Is your safe percentage above 867? And in most cases, the answer will be no. And that's when other dealers will raise the price on you, saying the price online included limited rebates that you don't qualify. Well, at Ray, they don't pull any of that nonsense. The price you see online is the price you pay with no add-ons or hidden fees ever. In fact, Ray will do everything possible to find even more additional savings for you, which may make the price even lower than what you saw online. So visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com to get your Black Friday savings. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads.
And with the money you save shopping for a new car at Ray, you can spend it on some delicious Goose Island beer for you to enjoy at home or at your local watering hole. CHGO is proudly supported by the Goose Island Beer Company. Goose Island has been Chicago's beer since 1988, and they have a tremendous beer roster of year-round selections for you to enjoy, including the Full Pocket Pills, the everyday beer that the Goose Island beer brewers are drinking. You have the entire family of Beer Hug IPAs to choose from. You have the golden cans of 312, the wheat ale, the staple of their year-round selection. Seasonals, Christmas is coming up. They got the Christmas IPA that's going to be hitting shelves pretty soon. And if you want to support the Bulls and or the Blackhawks, they have beers for you to do that as well. The Bull and Goose, the West Side Ale, and of course the Blackhawks Pale Ale. You can get all of these ultra-fresh brewery-exclusive beers when you go to the Goose Island Original Brew House on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or you can go to their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Again, that's the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
And we ordered it. It's coming eventually. The Connor Bedard / Stan Mikita bobblehead.
Hooray.
From our friends at FOCO. 143 now potentially available for
Probably
you.
less. No more than 143.
Yes.
Yeah.
We bought one of them. This is absolutely sweet. The half black and white, half color.
It's awesome.
Stan Mikita, Connor Bedard bobblehead. Again, limited edition. Go get yours at foco.com and get fitted out with the best sports gear around. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. It's football season. Get warm. Get yourself a scarf, a toque, hoodies, everything you need for a Bears game or a Hawks game. You want to stay nice and warm in these cool months that are allegedly coming. FOCO has also donated a few of the awesome pieces on our set, so go show them some love. Check out foco.com or click the link in our description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off at foco.com. All right, the other little bit of league news. Minnesota traded defenseman Kalen Addison to the Sharks for right wing Adam Raska in a 2026 fifth rounder. Then acquired Zach Bogosian later in the day. So Zach Bogosian goes to the Wild. They're looking to shore up their defense. They move out an offensive defenseman to bring in a defensive defenseman. So we'll see what they're up to. But trades are happening. It is early. But that is a pretty substantial set of moves.
Yeah, and I think, you guys are kind of talking about it before the show. Tampa is tight on money.
Yeah.
And they have someone who makes a lot of money coming back to their roster probably towards the end of this month in Andre Vasilevsky. So you got to make some adjustments.
Yeah, that was a preemptive strike to clear space. They have like $7.7 million in cap space right now, but Andre Vasilevsky makes 9.2. Mm-hmm. So Bogosian was making 850, so that gets you at 8.6 ish. And then when you send down Matt Tompkins, Ice Hogs legend Matt Tompkins,
got his first NHL win.
Yeah, good for him, good kid. He's making 775, so then that gets you over the 9.2. So that total,
carry the one.
Yeah.
You're right.
I took my shoes off and counted with my toes. The math checks. That's why that move was made. So that means Vasilevsky. They said they're hoping before December. Certainly sounds like
close.
And they
close.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Just make it before. Don't come back before next week. Thursday?
Yeah. Tuesday.
Pretty
sure Tuesday's game that's the home game here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I would like to see Vasilevsky maybe after American Thanksgiving.
Sounds good to me.
That'd be just fine with me.
And we got a super chat we got to get to as well from Ralph. He says Calgary wants to get rid of Huberdeau. Smart to take on that contract for picks or half salary. I think he needs a player like Bedard to feed pucks to. 2 years ago I would have been all over this.
No, not at $10.5 million for
but
the
he's
till 2020.
Yeah. No.
He's $10.5 million through 28-29. You can kiss any
way.
Even at half salary.
No.
No.
Too long. If it was for only another 2 year,
5.7. That's what 5.75 for.
Yeah.
No.
5.25.
5.25. 5.25 for the next 5 years. No.
Plus,
I
I
don't
not
think so.
I have character concerns. I know Daryl Sutter. It's hard to judge a guy's character when he's your coach, but he got benched. He got benched last night.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to come to the Blackhawks roster that is potentially problematic in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking for a player like that, it's someone that is, you want the prime of that career in that contract length, and I don't think with Huberdeau you're really getting that, or you want it to be someone who's entering the prime. someone who's on the younger side of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think that that's exactly the route to go just to help out Calgary, which I don't know.
They don't deserve our help. What have they ever done for us?
They took Nikita Zadorov.
Is that where he went directly from?
They
Chicago?
took Brandon Bollig too.
They
Didn't the Hawks get a
traded-
second for Brandon Bollig?
A third, I think. Whatever it was way too much.
It was too much.
It was anything was way too much. Yeah.
So maybe we do owe them a little bit, but yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap things up. We are back tomorrow. Pre-game show at 5:30. Hawks and Lightning drop the puck at 6, and then we will have your post-game for you. Finally, a freaking game to talk about.
Yay.
So we'll talk to you tomorrow for the pregame, 5:30. Thanks to Steven for running the show. Sarah's here also, always dependable. I always know when Sarah runs the show, it's going to be run perfectly with a smile. She complimented my bad hair yesterday, which I appreciate. She's wonderful. We all love Sarah, just as all of you should in the chat as well. Again, congrats to our buddy Young Dangle God. Have a great bachelor party weekend. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow at 5:30 for the pregame show, Hawks and Lightning, on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.